Hi there, I just want to share with you one of the most brilliant, beautiful things that I feel I ever came across in my entire lifetime. A lot of people know that I spent 17 years going around the world into rare book collections, ancient and arcane collections, climbing through dusty old catacombs, going into collections now that are under lock and key and no one can even get in anymore. But the Egyptian collections at the New York Metropolitan Museum in New York City, I came across and saw this thing right here for the first time. And when I saw it, it was in glass, it was all encased, locked up, and I asked the curator of the museum and the collection what it was. And he said, you know, we really don't know. It came out of Egypt, and there's several in different collections around the world, like the British Museum, the Myers collection, Cyprus, and different things, but we really don't know what it was. We noticed there were stains on the bottom of this bowl, and it's made out of pure quartz crystal. And it's interesting because later I discovered it took 40 years for rock cutters and craftsmen to cut a quartz crystal that they had found this size. The size of this thing is very specific in what it does for the human body. And I finally found all of that. But what happened in all of that, they found stains in the bottom of the bowl, and through microscopic electrospectrums and everything else, they found out that it was some kind of juice like grape juice and things like that. And they thought it was a punch bowl. And I thought, why would somebody spend 40 years to make a punch bowl? Anyway, I went around to the different collections, and I finally found a papyrus scroll on the Isle of Cyprus that explained what it was. And they used it as vibrational medicine. And finally, at the Myers collection, they gave me permission to open up the cabinet and use micrometers and to measure the thing. And I wrote it all down, and then they allowed me to do it at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City, and it was the exact same thing. Those measures are in a perfection in relationship to the human body. If you were to tip this thing up, it looks like the belly of a pregnant woman. And it's interesting because they made this design to fit the phi and pi ratio measures of the human body, and based on also the eggs of the ibis bird in Egypt wading the Nile. They took those eggs and they realized that eggs that have a yolk inside is the exact same thing that happens in the female as the ovum begins to grow into the second trimester of the fetus of that child coming forth. And so it's interesting because in these measures, if you look inside the bowl, this Carillon Bowl as it was called anciently, you see a crystal ball. It's like the yolk of an egg. But there's so much history behind that. We'll get into that at some point. Maybe we'll write it up for you and so you can have it. But that's where the whole thing of the gypsies looking into the crystal ball and could see the future came from. So there's many things that you can do with this. But anyway, once I had those measures, we had to get the crystal druses. The purest ones came out of Madagascar. And now the purest quartz crystal druses are found in White Pine, North Carolina. And so I finally went up there with 55-gallon drums, filled them all up, shipped them to Japan for Mitsubishi to make the first ones, because they were in the technologies of crystals. And they would make flat-bottom crystal bowls in order to grow the druses that they cut with laser technologies into little wafers, and then they send it to laboratories to cut it with lasers to put chips into computers, chips into mobile phones, and that's what allows you to be able to speak all the way around the world, is crystal technology. These ancient people were not primitive, stupid people the way a lot of academics are taught. They were geniuses. They understood crystal technology. This bowl in that scroll that I found was a healing instrument of sound, and it works with the person's voice that is desiring to be healed. When I first made these, the very first ones that Mitsubishi made, they cost $8,000 a piece. But we've made enough now, and Mitsubishi stopped making them for me and moved on into other things. But Quartz Scientific and General Electric, they got a hold of me. They found out the bowls were being used at Cornell Medical to heal so many diseases, even cancers. And they were being used to clear emotional traumas and stress and dramas. And as you get into this thing and you play it, they did it in a very specific way. And you use your voice to hum or tone the sound that you hear. And it's not a musical contest, it's what you hear, and you try to match it with your own voice. And as you do that, you think, and if you can, you look into the eidolon, which means that which you can see but doesn't exist. That crystal ball, you can reach down to pick it up and it's not there. You can see it, but you can't feel it. It's like a rainbow. A rainbow is an eidolon. You can see it, but you can never go up and touch it or get a hold of it. So what they did was, for the vibrational medicine, and I have cancer doctors, all kinds of healers using this thing, but now we've been able to get the prices down low enough that people can have this themselves in their own home. And a lot of people get into getting these and doing the vibrational healing and actually charge for a 30 to 45 to an hour session and heal people mentally, physically, and emotionally. And it's such a beautiful thing. But the way that you play this, you tap it in a triangulated form, and then you begin to play and you hum the sound. I'd like to do it for you just so you hear it, but I'm hoping that you'll read about this in my FDRs and look into the vibrational healing. It's such a powerful thing. Spend 20 minutes or so having someone play it or you playing it and humming and sharing your thoughts with yourself about what you want to clear emotionally or physically or even mentally. Vibrational medicine is one of the most profound healing experiences that you can have, and I'm thrilled and thankful to be the one to have brought this back to the modern world. Please give it a try.